Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another throwback review, the series in which I review cars from yesteryear. This time it's just all about a Japanese icon. No, hang on, no, I've done this one before, haven't I? In which case it must be all about this, the DC5 Honda Integra Type R. Now, regular viewers may remember that a while back I had a JDM EP3 and that had the same engine and the same gearbox as this car, so this will feel rather familiar to say the least. You may have spotted I've got a passenger. This is Jordan, the owner of the car.
Unfortunately, you won't get to see Jordan due to lost footage, so you'll have to enjoy looking at his right shoulder instead.
Say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Hello. He has very kindly let me have a go in his very cherished car. So as part of these videos, I normally give you a bit of ownership detail and also what to look out for if you're looking to buy one of these yourself. Now, unlike the DC2, the DC5 was not available in the UK. You could only get this as an import. And it's reported that the reason why Honda didn't bring this to the UK was because you had the EP3 Civic Type R, which they argued was a similar car. So for them, it's a case of selling two cars on the market that were quite similar. But I think that's a crying shame, really. Oh, I forgot how responsive these things were. Oh. So under the bonnet, we have a 2-litre naturally aspirated petrol engine, which offers 220 horsepower, along with 206 Newton meters of torque. Unlike the DC2, I've got 6 speeds at my disposal and not 5. You'll hit 60 miles per hour in 6.5 seconds, and the top speed is 150 miles per hour. And this car, it's designed to be driven hard, and it will thank you for it. Of course, it's got the VTEC that everyone always harks on about, the VTEC yo. I had to say it. It's almost obligatory to say, isn't it?
It is.
This car will scream its way all the way to 8,400 RPM, so you've got a lot of revs to play about with. This will rev for days, and sadly we've got traffic in front of us. But one of the things that struck me stepping into this car, Jordan, was just how mechanical everything feels. It's got a certain feeling that you just don't get in modern cars. I know this car isn't that old.
That's because the mechanics are 20 years old, whereas I think sometimes with the looks that look a bit more fresh, you sometimes feel that the inside and underneath is still 20 years old. Yeah,
the steering's got a delicious weight to it. It feels, well, this is hydraulic if I'm not mistaken. And you just get much more feedback. It feels more meaty. It feels like a proper solid unit in your hands. The clutch pedal's got a lovely firmness to it. All the pedals have got a lovely firmness to it. And of course, we can't not mention that gear change. It's just, it's sublime. It really is. Lovely 6-speed manual, lovely throw. One of the best gear changes I've ever had the great fortune to experience. So you must have so much fun in this car.
Yeah, I mean, you never really get bored of just blipping between 3rd and 4th.
Yeah.
And down a B road. And if you can master the hill and toe, then it'll reward you.
Yeah. So these were built between 2001 and 2005. Get your words out, Aaron. So around the same time as the EP3. Unlike the UK EP3, this has got a limited slip differential. Of course, the JDM one had that because the JDM Civic Type R is pretty much a hatchback version of this car. You got the limited slip differential. If we're going to be pedantic, this has got a different engine code as well. So the UK Civics had the K20, whereas this has got the K20A. So you get a bit more power as well.
Oh my God, it's a Hummer H2.
A Hummer coming down a road like this. Whoa, my, whoa. Couldn't have picked a bigger vehicle to come down this type of road.
Come down a Sussex B road.
No. I love how visceral it is. And before you ask, yes, I am slightly missing my JDM EP3. Thanks for reminding me. I love how visceral this car feels, and this is the kind of car you simply won't get ever again, will you?
No. I mean, if even Honda have gone to turbocharging their Type R engines, then that is the end of naturally aspirated, really, isn't it? And Honda were the last people to really try and cling on to it, you know. And if they've switched over, then that's probably the end.
Yeah. Sadly, a car like this will never be made again. Compared to today's performance coupes, on paper this looks to be a bit meek. It's not the fastest, but the numbers don't tell you the whole story. Of course, this isn't going to have a lot of torque. It's not turbocharged. You know, 206 Newton meters nowadays is nothing. You can probably get more out of that out of a 1 litre EcoBoost, for God's sake.
Probably could.
But it's all about the way how the power is delivered. That is something that you can't get on paper. You have to jump in the car, take it out for a good old rag, and
you don't drive a car on paper.
No, no, you wouldn't get much grip on tyres, would you?
No.
But this is the kind of car where you have to drive it to experience it, because particularly in today's world where people are forever chasing numbers, you look at 220 horsepower, just over 200 Newton meters of torque, and you think that seems a bit limp-wristed, but it really isn't. It's all about the way how the power is delivered. There's nothing limp-wristed by the way how this car goes.
By today's hot hatch standards, this is probably quite slow. I mean, hot hatches have seemed to have just turned into mega hatches where they're sort of eclipsing what were supercars 10 years ago. 4 second times to 60, and normally the limit's 155, granted, but the horsepower figures and the 0 to 60 figures are that old Lambos and stuff, you know, they eclipse it and stuff.
You'd have to be mad to call this car slow,
exactly,
wouldn't you? As much as it's a great thing, you have to drive them hard. But that's, in some respect, part of the car's, dare I say, weakness, because you don't always want to drive it as if your hair's on fire.
Sometimes you want to have fun but not go around like a yob at the same time.
Exactly.
You can't really have both, unfortunately.
No.
So if you want to have fun in this car, you are going to have to be 8,000 RPM again. Such
exactly. that was only about 6,000 then. You know, we was picking up a fair bit of speed there. And I think that's one of quite a few reasons why I got rid of my JDM EP3. Great car, but it has to be driven in a certain manner, otherwise it's wasted. And of course, I wouldn't say you bring this up for special occasions, but you bring this out at the right time. It's not your daily driver. I think, as we discussed off camera earlier, I think if this were your daily driver,
which it was for a bit,
I think you'd lose the, well, I suppose the kind of novelty would wear off, wouldn't it?
Novelty, and because it hasn't got the low down torque, you don't get that instant power. So if you want the power round town, sort of 40, 50 mile an hour roads, you are caning it. And then you're drawing attention, you're making a racket, and it's just more grief trying to have fun in it. It's better off just leaving it in a garage and then coming out on a day like this.
Exactly.
On roads like this.
Exactly.
No one's looking at you, and you can just be at one with the car.
That's so good. So good. So this car is bigger compared to a DC2, therefore, as you would predict, it weighs more. However, this car is far from some big lumbering sumo wrestler, because it weighs 1,180 kilograms. That's only 60 more, if I'm not mistaken, compared to the DC2. Of course, this is very much a subjective thing, but I would argue the DC5 looks better. Some of you may think that's a bit controversial. It just looks so much more modern. I know it is a more modern car, but it's not that much more modern, is it, when you think about it?
I think the DC5 would fit in if it came out in a showroom today. Whereas I think if the DC2 come out in a showroom today, you would look at it and go, that is quite an old design. It's still good looking, but it's definitely an older design. Whereas I think if this came out, you'd think, oh, that sort of fits in with 21st century car design.
This is a proper bona fide driver's car, isn't it?
It's what it's made for.
You've got a lovely low seating position. These Recaros are beautiful, and I love the fact they're all red as well. it really adds to the sporting nature of the car.
Yeah.
You've got the red centre stripe on the steering wheel.
That isn't standard.
I didn't think it was.
No, it's not. I've had that done.
But it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I really like it. It just kind of puts the cherry on top of the cake of the interior.
Yeah, I've had the whole wheel upholstered, so it adds a little something to grab onto.
I did think the wheel looked pretty fresh. And this is also on coilovers as well.
It is, yeah, at a sensible height. I don't want them sat on the floor. As Aaron said, it is for driving. It's not for showing as such. It is for doing that.
Yeah. I've got to say, the ride comfort is sensational.
It's not bad. For
It's
the car
really good.
And the road, and it's on coilovers. I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
It's really good. It has got a slight firm edge to it, but you'd expect that because
you wouldn't want
it's
it
on
to be
coilovers.
soppy, would you?
No, exactly. It needs to be sporty and it needs to have that handling characteristic.
And you can firm them right up. When I was on the track a couple of weeks back, and then they changed the car again completely. So.
And this road is pretty beaten. I'm sure you can agree. But my spine is intact.
It is. So's mine. Yeah.
I'm really surprised at the ride quality.
And it's on cut 2s as well, which aren't exactly supple either. So.
No. Little pop from the exhaust, which is also non-standard, but you've got a good reason for that, haven't you?
Well, again, the other one was 20 years old in the original one, which I was quite happy with, to be honest. However, I got a little note on a service, and I thought, well, I'm not going to replace it with an equally rusty second-hand OEM one. So
yeah, exactly.
I bought the quietest aftermarket one I could, and it sounds great, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And at 30 mile an hour, 6th gear around town, you don't even notice it.
Yeah, you do get a little pop every now and as well.
On it does pop. And then B-road, 6th gear. Can you hear the exhaust?
No.
So it's the best of both worlds. So I'm happy.
Yeah, well, the great thing about this is that you do have that extra gear for cruising, whereas you didn't get that in the DC2.
No.
And as much as the DC2 wasn't designed for munching up motorway miles anyway, this is a better job of doing such a laborious journey if you had to.
If you had to, it can do it. I've done a 2,000 mile road trip in this.
Oh, that must have been epic.
Yeah, it was awesome, yeah. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, would it be your number one choice of car for the job? No. Did it do it fine? Yes.
It really feel like LSD working, just tugging away at me. It actually feels more violent compared to my EP3. Yeah, that could be me just chatting rubbish and just poor muscle memory. And it could also be the tyres as well.
Yeah.
The tyres could be a factor in that. Because on my EP3 I had like Eco Yokohamas. It's just...
It's a bit softer.
Yeah, because when it came into Torque GT, I think it had some random non-branded tyres on it, and Torque GT just put those on just as a kind of stopgap.
Yeah.
They were decent tyres, to be fair. Just everything about this car, it just feels set up to be the best driving experience possible. Another little pop from the exhaust. And the cornering is fantastic, the grip is fantastic from these Cup 2s. Do you find you need to get quite a bit of heat in them before you get the optimal grip?
Well, you do, yeah, but I would only bring it out on a warm day anyway, where the ambient temperature is slightly warmer anyway. So yeah. I find that they're perfectly fine. On track, they were phenomenal.
I bet they were.
On the road, they're absolutely fine, as long as it's warm and dry. I mean, I probably wouldn't dare them in the wet.
No.
And certainly not in the cold.
And one thing I haven't mentioned, which I don't know how I've got this far, not mentioned it, I love the fact you look in the rear view mirror and you've got a great big gaping wing there. It's fantastic. I love it. It just... Oh.
Fits in with the car, doesn't it?
And to think that's factory standard as well. It came out the factory with a massive wing on it. I love it. It really adds to the character of this car. So how long have you owned this?
I think it was 2016, I think I bought it. So what's that? That's
5 years, yeah.
And I bought it in September actually, so yeah, just coming up to 5 years. Yeah.
Quite a long time to own a vehicle. So there may be people watching this video that are looking to buy one of these. Yeah. So from your perspective, what would be your tips for buying one?
Look out for rust.
Yeah, of course.
If you can find it. I mean, if you're buying one from the UK, it's rust on. I know that sounds really sort of pessimistic, but it probably is. If it's been driven, it probably is.
It's not pessimistic, it's realistic.
It's realistic. It's a 20-year-old Honda that had no undersill protection from factory, and it's been on UK roads.
Yeah.
If you're getting a Jap import one, you'll be fine. Servicing, I mean, you're meant to service them every 6,000 miles.
Oh really? Quite a cool.
That's the general rule anyway.
Yeah, it's quite a short service interval. But don't I know this isn't an Evo, of course, but don't the Evos have quite a short service interval?
I think they're about the same.
Yeah.
I think if you asked Honda, they'd probably say it'd do 10, 12,000 miles.
Like pretty much any other car.
Yeah, but I think the agreed amount between owners is about 6, 7 or so. I mean, fully synthetic will probably go on longer than that.
Yeah.
Other than that, the engine's pretty bulletproof, and then as long as it's had the servicing. Other than that, there's not really a lot to note on them. Really, they're pretty simple, cheap. Well, I would say cheap. They're not cheap anymore.
No.
They were cheap when I bought them. But other than that, it's a pretty much get in, turn the key, kick its head in kind of car.
Yeah, exactly. Give it a proper good thrashing.
Yeah, and then you'll just
thank you for it
and do it again the next day.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on the oil level as well.
Yeah.
Which I've had no problems with mine actually, but a lot of owners say that they'll drink oil, but mine hasn't. Well, that's down to each individual engine, but
yeah. I suppose really these are similar, and don't shoot me for mentioning these two cars in the same sentence, but an MX-5 is that mechanically it's not much to look out for. It's the body really.
Yeah.
That's your biggest kind of concern.
And equally, with it being 20 years old, you might start to find that the natural course with rubber, starting bushings and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Not worn out, just perishing because they're 20 years old.
Exactly. That's to be expected.
Yeah. And this has been fully rebushed as well, not polybushed, just OE.
Well, that was a thoroughly enjoyable drive. Of course, I'd like to say a massive thank you to Jordan for letting me have a spin in these prized possessions. And yeah, thank you for making me miss my EP3. That's very kind of you.
They're always out there. I mean, they're double the price now, but they are out there.
Exactly. But yeah, if you're thinking about buying this car, just do it. Yes, they aren't as cheap as they used to be, but this is the type of car. I know we've harped on about it a few times. You just can't buy this type of car anymore. Not brand new. If you want a proper raw analog visceral driver's car that's still got some form of comfort to it, i.e. not buying like an 80s or 90s car where you got
and isn't £250,000.
Yeah, exactly. Where you've got very little creature comforts. You have to take a look at this because the engine is sublime, the gearbox is sublime, the handling is just fantastic. It's just a proper driver's car. Yeah. So yeah, thank you again to Jordan. Really appreciate it. Lovely drive. I could have just kept on going until you ran out of petrol. So I had to stop at some point. Thank you so much for you guys for watching this video at home. I do hope you have enjoyed it. If so, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time guys, keep up the car obsession.